Folks, we are 5 days away from Nebraska kicking off their season versus Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium. So that being said, today I'm going to give you a comprehensive Husker injury update going into that ball game. Who's out? Who's in? The latest around Demitrius Bell, some key defensive linemen who are banged up, some players in the secondary, and so much more, along with some rumors behind the scenes that Nebraska versus Tennessee, that series could be coming back. I'll give you the latest there. Whether or not that's actually going to happen are confirmed. Starting offensive line, according to Raiola, a couple surprises in there. Some more murmurs going on right now. My reaction to week 0, Iowa State versus Kansas State, and so much more. So really quick, if you're having a good Saturday, I know I am, hit that like button. And also, we are 5 subscribers away from 13,000. Let's hit it today. If you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you want daily content talking Huskers, it's a no-brainer. Take 2 seconds. Join the family. Help us at 3DK. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. College football is back. Well, not necessarily for us just yet, but we still have 5 days away for Nebraska versus Cincinnati getting our season going. So I want to get things started today with an injury update. Who's going to be out going into that bowl game? Who's going to be in? I want to get things started with a player that I receive a bunch of questions about pretty much every single day. One of the fan favorites in the wide receiver core, none other than Demitrius Bell. Now, of course, we know that Demitrius Bell, about a year and a half ago, he tore his ACL in the spring game. He's been out ever since, and he's had, honestly, just a lot of lingering problems there, some pain in his knee. He's been behind schedule. The coaching staff, they're playing it very, very slow because they're worried he might re-injure that same knee, the same thing that happened with Markway just a couple weeks ago. So for that reason, the coaching staff earlier, they said that they were eyeing a return by the start of the season. Then they pushed it back. They said that they were eyeing a return going into that Michigan game, going into Big Ten play. We're at that point with Demitrius Bell where it looks like he will not play this season. And if he does, it will only be in practice because, let's just say Demitrius Bell gets back by mid-October, which is probably the timeline right now. There's not really even a timeline for him. But let's say it's mid-October. Even if he's back and 100% healthy, he's behind pace. He's behind schedule just because all these other guys in fall ball, they've been practicing for months. They're ahead of him on the depth chart. So he needs to get in practice and get his spot back. So even if Demitrius Bell were to actually get back in the ballgame for Nebraska and were to be healthy, he's still not going to play because guys have taken his opportunities, taken his spot. So Demitrius Bell, again, there's just no timeline for his return. I'd imagine Nebraska shuts him down for the season. And if he does come back, he'll just purely be a practice player, and they're going to give him a medical red shirt. So just really unfortunate news there, Demitrius Bell. Again, this wide receiver core, it's been hit by the injury bug already. You're hoping your top 3 guys can stay healthy. But again, having Demitrius Bell out for the year, losing Harley Gilmore in the spring, having Isaiah Mozee move to running back, it definitely didn't help your depth there. So you're hoping, again, the top 3 guys, top 4 guys can stay healthy. But Demitrius Bell, I expect him to be medically redshirted at this point in time. And we're at that point with him where he's going to go into his 4th year next season, and he has all 4 years of eligibility remaining because he got redshirted once, medically redshirted last year, and then medically redshirted once again. So just not great there around Demitrius Bell. But again, hopefully going forward, he can stay healthy because just at this point in time, if you get injured this consistently, you got to start wondering whether or not football is actually for you. And then going on to some things that we got confirmed by Matt Rule recently, Gibson Pyle is out for the year. This is a second-year offensive lineman who I really like coming out of Texas originally, plays tackle and plays guard. He injured his knee in the scrimmage just a couple days ago. So Gibson Pyle, once again, this kind of hurts the offensive line depth. Not really a big deal, but again, if some guys start to go down, especially in the interior, definitely you'll be hurt. You'll feel that hurt a little bit more as the year progresses. Turner Corcoran is 100% healthy. He will be active versus Cincinnati, which is great news. He actually has had a really good fall ball. I think that was arguably the biggest storyline that I learned in yesterday's depth chart is that he could potentially be our left tackle starter. Now, he won't be. It's going to be Gunnar Gatula. But the fact that the depth chart says Gunnar Gatula or Turner Corcoran, that says a lot. And that says he's playing well. So I'm at that point with Turner where he's healthy. He's ready to go. Nobody has any expectations for him anymore. He was one of the big-time recruits coming out of Kansas, one of the best players that we've got in recruiting literally in the last 10 years. Hasn't lived up to that, whatever. I want him to go out there, ball with no expectations, and hopefully he's going to prove a lot of people wrong, but he's 100% healthy. Time for him to go out there and make his last year of eligibility count. Then you got Preston Tamoa. He is 100% healthy. He was out for about the first 2 weeks of fall ball, just dealing with the illness along with some other issues. So Preston Tamoa will be back for Nebraska going into Cincinnati, but he's buried on the depth chart right now simply because guys like Grant Bricks, Jason Machacek, Sam Sledge, they took his spot simply because he was not active and other guys jumped him on the depth chart. So hopefully as the year progresses, he can get back to that 2 deep, which he was in spring ball, but he will be a go versus Cincinnati. Gabe Moore, he's injured right now, will probably not be going against Cincinnati, hamstring issue. He got injured in the spring as well. He got injured all the time, Mississippi State. So there's another guy where, again, high ceiling, very low floor. And right now you're seeing the very low floor where he's not even active ever, because he's got injured time and time again, that lower body. So Gabe Moore banged up once again for the Huskers. Vincent Shavers out right now for Nebraska with a hamstring that's been lingering all of fall ball. We've had a lot of hamstring issues. Sear Wright had a hamstring that he's still kind of dealing with. Andrew Marshall, kind of same deal there to a lesser extent, but a lot of hamstring issues for better or worse. Now they're playing it very slow. Vin Shavers, he will be ready to go versus Cincinnati, but again, you're just hoping that can go away because hamstrings, they're lingering and they could impact him from now up until December, up until January, right? So you're hoping that somehow, some way that they take it very slow and that, that pain, that tightness goes away, but just not good news there around Ben Shavers. But Sear Wright, he had the same hamstring issue. He should be good going to Cincinnati. He should be 100%. But they're playing him very slow for that exact same reason because the hamstring has been bothering him. And then Mari Buford, same deal there. I shouldn't say tore his hamstring, but his hamstring's a little bit banged up. He's out right now. Probably won't be active versus Cincinnati. From the way it's looking, Jameer Khan jumped on the depth chart for that exact same reason. So Mari Buford, very strong fall ball, just not good news there. Once again, the hamstring. It's always the hamstring for Nebraska football players. It's either the hamstring or it's just a lot of knee problems. Don't know what it is. It's usually, it goes down to luck, but there's some conditioning factors that really play into it as well. But a lot of hamstring injuries going on with Nebraska. So those are really the main injuries, but we're at that point. We're 5 days away from camp, 5 days away from the season opener, and really none of our starters are out. None of our, even key players in the 2 deep are out. So honestly, we survived fall camp pretty healthy. That's about as good as they can get. So I'm very excited about the season opener. We shouldn't have too many players who are out going into the game versus Cincinnati next Thursday. So that's the injury update. Next, I want to get into something that I thought was really interesting that I saw yesterday. The SEC teams have moved toward 9 conference games. They went from 8 to 9, very much overdue. But there was a piece of that change that people are underlooking. SEC teams are now required to play at least one quality out-of-conference game every single year, okay? So gone are the days of Alabama playing Georgia Southern, Furman, Citadel, every single year, not playing a quality opponent. The reason why this is interesting to me is because that means the Big Ten will likely do the exact same thing. The SEC is putting that in place. The Big Ten's going to follow. So gone are the days of Indiana scheduling 3 bum opponents. The reason why I think this is interesting is because Nebraska, and I'm very opposed to this, and you guys could feel free to put your opinions in the comment section. Nebraska has went toward a very weak scheduling philosophy. They are not scheduling anybody worth anything anymore. Okay. They canceled the Tennessee series. That was their decision. And at the time, Nebraska said, we're canceling Tennessee because of the stadium renovation. Well, that turned out to be a complete lie, which we called out at the time. They're not even going to do the stadium renovation anymore. And they knew that. The only reason why they canceled Tennessee is because they didn't want to play a good team. They didn't want to potentially have a loss on the schedule. But the reason why this is important is because the SEC is now requiring every single team in those 3 non-conference games to play at least one quality opponent. The Big Ten's going to do the exact same thing because it's important for the sport to have competitive non-conference games. So my expectation is that going into 2026, Nebraska, they might be forced to play an SEC squad. So why not go back to that Tennessee series? Okay, why not, schedule another SEC team? It doesn't have to be Tennessee, but why not go back to that? That was a series that everybody was looking forward to. You made up an excuse. Let's just be real. They lied to the fan base. They lied. They said, the reason we're doing it is because of the stadium renovation. Troy Dana knew very well that they were going to cancel that stadium renovation, which they ended up doing 2 months later. So they just did it because they were scared of Tennessee and they didn't want a loss. I'm all in favor of bringing the Tennessee series back. That's all I'm going to say there. But I thought this was interesting. If the SEC is doing it, I expect the Big Ten to do it as well. And I expect potentially, again, the Big Ten SEC potentially have a scheduling alliance going forward, maybe starting in 27 or 28. But I would totally be in favor of Nebraska playing Tennessee simply because Nebraska is a blue blood program. I don't care if we play a harder team to start and potentially have a loss. I think it's a really bad look for Nebraska to be scared of playing good teams. Okay, we're a blue blood. Blue bloods don't run. That's the bottom line. You can't say Nebraska is a prestigious blue blood program and also support Nebraska playing nobody in non-conference. Okay, and support us run away from teams like Tennessee. So I would be in favor of Nebraska doing that, but I do think that we're going to be forced. We're going to be forced to potentially play a good opponent in 26, 27 instead of the MAC teams we currently have in the schedule. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then a couple other things I want to get to. They posted the team photo today, which I thought was interesting. Feel free to pause the video, look at that. I just thought it was interesting to kind of go over every single player. But I thought there was one player who just really shined at me in this picture, Marcus Watson-Trent. I mean, that dude's facial expression, he's all business. So I think Marcus Watson-Trent, honestly, was the player I totally believe was going to get a single digit, purely because I think he's the second best player on this defense, and it's not even particularly close. Like, I think Deshaun Singleton is the best player on this defense, and then number 2 is Marcus Watson-Trent. He had 120 tackles last year. Like, what are we doing here? So honestly, the fact he didn't get a single digit didn't really make too much sense to me. He's also a great leader. You know, when we got him for Georgia Southern, all these people were telling us how big of a leader he was on and off the field. So that's not an issue. I honestly think he got snubbed because he's a leader. He does everything right on and off the field. It is what it is. But the reason why I bring him up is because this is just not somebody you want to see through the A gap. If you're a running back, if you're Tawi Walker at Cincinnati, you're running through the A gap on Thursday and you see Marcus Watson-Trent coming right at you with that facial expression, I'm going down, man. I'm going down. I'm not trying to fight through contact. But I thought that was an interesting picture. So again, feel free to evaluate that if you want. But again, hopefully we look back at this picture in a couple years and we say, hey man, this is the team that changed everything for Nebraska. This is the team that set the standard that going forward, we're going to be one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Hopefully we look back at this picture with a lot of joy rather than animosity. That's just my expectation. That's my hope. And then look at Matt Rule holding it down the middle with that facial expression. Matt Rule's all business. No smile from Matt Rule, all business. So I thought that was a pretty funny picture. And then also I want to get to the starting offensive line real quick. This was posted by Donovan Raiola on Instagram. He posted this yesterday on his story. Just thought this was something that should be mentioned, but this is pretty much our starting offensive line. If you didn't take it from me yesterday, take it from our offensive line coach. You got Gunnar Gatula there on the left-hand side, who's going to be our left tackle. You got Justin Evans, who's going to be our center. You got Teddy Prohaska, who will be our right tackle, likely against Cincinnati. God forbid he gets injured in the next couple days, which could happen. I mean, let's be real, Teddy. Let's just be real, Teddy. You're just always worried about him getting potentially injured. You got Rotufsky over there, our left guard, and of course you got Rocco Spellner, our right guard. So that's our starting lineup. Again, if it's posted by Donovan, you kind of know what's going to happen there. So not a shocker if you guys follow the channel. We've been reporting that for the last couple of weeks that this is going to be the unit that rolls out there against Cincinnati. So all right, those are all the murmurs going on right now. And then last but not least, just kind of want to give you my reaction to that Week 0 game. I'm sure you guys watched it. It was let's put it at that. It was a horrendous displaying of football. It was pretty sloppy. A lot of turnovers. It was bad. And it's actually funny to look back and say, oh my goodness, Nebraska played in the same ball game just a couple years ago against Northwestern. I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. But the reason why I thought this game was interesting is because both of these squads, they made the little things look very, very hard, which I believe Nebraska in the past does as well. Like, we make the simplest things look incredibly hard, like getting a first down, throwing with decent accuracy consistently, third down conversions, fourth down conversions, playing clean football, not having any penalties. It's the simple things that Nebraska makes incredibly hard throughout the course of a season, right? Having offense that actually looks in flow. Okay, having a defense that's aggressive and can tackle consistently and can tackle with aggression. All of that, these teams failed at in Week 0. And granted, it was in Ireland. The conditions weren't good, this, that, and the third. But I just thought it was interesting because I'm hoping Nebraska doesn't look like that versus Cincinnati, because we have a tendency to, especially in Week 1, Week 2, that we look very sloppy. Okay. So all these teams, they made the very simple things look hard. The big key for Nebraska, especially with Dana Holgorsen, has making the simple things routine, making those things very, very easy, which they should be, in order for us to get better at the hard things. Okay, you don't get better at the hard things by practicing the hard things. You get better by doing the easy things consistently, and then the harder things become easier in relation. So anyways, that's my spiel there on the game. As for the result, I mean, both those teams are overrated. Let's be real here. Kansas State, wow, their quarterback looked like Taylor Martinez, a worse Taylor Martinez. He was terrible, could not throw the football. Iowa State didn't look very good either. The Big 12's poverty. And to all the people who were like, oh, we need to go back to the Big 12, absolutely not. Yeah, we would dominate the Big 12, don't get me wrong, but it's just not worth it. We need to play good teams in order to be a good team ourselves in the Big 12. They got no good teams there, besides maybe a Texas Tech and an Arizona State. So anyways, just want to give you my reaction to that ball game because I thought it was funny. Why do we always start off Week 0 with this is a horrendous displaying of football? Like last year was Georgia Tech versus Florida State. It was us versus Northwestern a couple years ago. Like, why can't we start off the season with, again, Texas, Ohio State? Have them play in Ireland. No, I'm kidding. Let's just never play in Ireland ever again because it's stupid. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. All right, guys, have a great Saturday. We're 5 days away, man. I'm getting fired up. Let me know if you are too. Hey, if you made this far in the video, hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be great and go Met Rule. I'll see you in the next one.